Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the commission meeting minutes. March 1, roll call.
Commissioner Baker?
Yay.
Commissioner Gard?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yay.
Vice Mayor Johnson?
Yay.
Mayor Lamb?
Yay. Now's the time set aside for comments from our citizens. With the microphone here in front, if you wish to share something with the commissioners, you're welcome to approach that mic and give us your name and address.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Debbie Alden, and I live at 9421 Leland Drive in Greenbrier Cove subdivision. After attending the Planning Commission meeting last Monday, a group of residents that had attended, we decided we needed to share this information about Little Debbie Park with our entire neighborhood. Tonight, I will be presenting Mayor Lamb with a petition that was signed by over 200 of our residents from our community. While we are pleased, delighted, and even ecstatic that the land is finally going to be developed, there are some safety issues that we feel need to be brought to your attention. Number one, for the safety of children playing, crossing the street, running into the street, the playground area needs to be moved away from the road. Moving the playground equipment closer to the greenway would accomplish many of these safety concerns, including that of a possible child abduction that might happen with the current placement of the park so close to the road. Number two, for the safety of drivers and pedestrians, the development of the back-end parking on both sides of Swinyard needs to be eliminated. We strongly recommend the development of a parking lot or lots on the other side of the creek be immediate and the spots on Swinyard eliminated from the plan. The bridge is going to be built as part of the plan and should go to a developed parking lot, not just an empty field. This would eliminate pedestrians crossing Swinyard to access the park from their cars. Third, the third safety concern that we have is access to our community, Garden Plaza and Morning Point, by emergency vehicles as well as regular daily traffic by residents, employees, and visitors. With the parking on both sides of Swinyard and people going in reverse to access a spot, we feel this will impede access to these other areas. The development of the parking lots across the creek would address this concern as well. We ask that you send this proposal back to the development phase and ask for changes related to safety concerns related to the placement of the playground, the parking along Swinyard, and the access to existing communities to be reflected before you vote on a final recommendation. We are sure the entire Collegedale community is looking forward to this new development and want to make sure that everyone will be safe and have a wonderful experience at Little Debbie Park.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else?
I'm gonna take my mask off, if it's okay. My name is Dennis Gustafson. I reside at 9487 Leyland Drive in Greenbrier Cove. The community with whom is most affected by the proposed McKee Little Debbie Park located between Swinyard on the west, Leyland Drive on the south, and Ottawa Ringgold Road on the east. We are here to get clarification on some specifics on the quit claim deed parking issues, including Swinyard and location of the actual children's area. Papers we have indicate this will eventually be considered an arboretum, or at least that's the goal. However, they do not usually contain many of the branded items listed in the specifications, such as the Nutty Fudge Bar or other Little Debbie branded products. It does provide nice walkways, shrubs, trees, a couple of shelter areas and bathrooms, and of course the playground. We would like clarification on the quit claim deed between Southern Adventist University as the grantor and the city of Collegedale as the grantee who seems to be on the hook for construction, maintenance, management, and all expenses with this park, except that you have no say-so in the changes or the management, or it doesn't appear that way anyhow. Who's going to pay for this park, the city or who? Somehow McKee Foods entered into this affair, and it appears as though the quitclaim deed was handled through them, and now they're telling Collegedale what to do and how to do it. Was there a written approval, which is needed, as indicated in Exit B under the restrictive covenants? Number 2 is prohibited uses. Without limiting section 1 above, the property shall not be used for the following purposes without the written approval of the management committee, with which approval may be withheld at the management committee's sole discretion. And under that is B, industrial, residential, development, or permanent commercial activity. Temporary commercial activity related to the primary purpose shall be permitted. Was there written approval to allow permanently branded commercial items? If so, can these papers be produced? It appears as though a permanent commercial activity will be shown by a rather large signage and the so-called branding of various items that children can climb on or ride or sit, or is this a broad stroke of those words? Is it true that no changes can be made from this by the management committee, or is it written in stone? Greenbrier Cove consists of 183 homes and 280 residents. We're an over 55 community with an average age somewhere over 80 years. Through our taxes, we pay around $700,000 yearly to the city of Collegedale, and for that, we get no consideration for notification of planning for the facility that will directly affect the residents and well-being of Greenbrier Cove. Our residents overwhelmingly have expressed concern for the proposed location of the children's park adjacent to the swing yard, as this creates a safety issue for the children and families due to the increased traffic and proposed parking changes on swing yard. When we asked residents about the park, they said they either preferred no kids park, since we already have one, or take the play area and move it closer to the greenway and away from swing yard. They don't want to contend with the noise of the traffic and are very concerned about emergency services being able to access our neighborhood unimpeded. Parking on Swinier is a major problem and concerns for our residents. Perhaps those who made this plan should go to downtown Chattanooga and see how back-in parking works. Backing in for the majority of drivers is not their favorite task. Grandma and Grandpa from Greenbrier Cove will definitely not enjoy the scenario. To exit from Swinier, traffic on the east side of the street will likely try to exit by driving up through Garden Plaza or drive up for Cynthia Lane to return to the light at Appleton. Turning right takes traffic into Greenbrier Cove. This will bring additional traffic into our community, which already has a problem with pedestrians traveling along the streets because of uneven, dangerous sidewalks. And again, we're very concerned about delays in emergency services when needed. In a nutshell, we'd like consideration to moving the playground to the center towards the greenway and away from Swinier for the safety of everyone. This would be closer to the proposed parking area between the greenway and Ottawa Ringgold Road, and combine additional parking by utilizing the space south of the current fence used by the commons for overflow parking. We realize this takes parking space, but it'll also take parking space off of Wynyard and make access to the park much easier and safer. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional comments?
Tracy Bennett Hoback, 5490 Briar Rose Drive. So good evening, commissioners. On Sunday, February 28th, I was listening to US 101 and heard a message from Cleveland Baptist Church that resonated with me and our city's situation with the disputed park donation and recent 2-3 vote asking for the termination and then resignation of the city manager. In Acts 14, the Apostle Paul is encouraged to act with boldness and let his voice be heard. The city of Collegedale is a wonderful community that offers its residents and those in surrounding areas wellness and recreational opportunities. Myself and a handful of other residents spoke last week during the Planning Commission to express concerns regarding McKee Little Debbie Park, set for groundbreaking soon at the corner of Swinyard and Leland. In 2018, the newly formed Collegedale Parks and Recreation Department hosted a public input meeting, received community survey feedback, partnered with UTC to produce the city's first assessment, and started benchmarking with an NRPA for key responsibilities and amenities of a municipal parks department. The recently proposed McKee Little Debbie Park on 10 acres of prime Collegedale land resources does not reflect public input from 2018, nor does it include missing national recreational standards needs of a city our size. I am here being a voice for my community and encouraging leadership to include residents and those who utilize our city's resources to be included in decisions that affect us all. A recent newspaper article states that the former city manager and his team worked on park planning with McKee, yet he admitted to not being in all the McKee Park meetings. Parks and Recreation was only invited to one, and the city engineer was present only because his position is part of the deed requirements. This same deed no one heard about until Commissioner White here brought it up last month. So what does the donor of this park stand to gain? And how can the residents and taxpayers be held responsible for a deed that did not go through proper planning department channels, according to the Economic and Development Director? I encourage everyone to read this deed. Collegedale was one of the first cities in the state to earn a Healthier Tennessee status. McKee Little Debbie wishes to promote the history and marketing of its snack cakes in a city public park. Large snack cake park equipment will be added to a specified area. And a side note, McKee already has its history for public viewing at the bakery store on Appleton Pike. In November 2020, U.S. News reported Tennessee ranks number 4 in the nation for obesity. There are many children in our community who have diabetes, food allergies, grain allergies, etc. What if you brought one of these children to a park for enjoyment and exercise, only to be faced with a 5-foot-tall snack cake promoting ingredients that the child cannot have? Do you want to be known as the city with fake, supersized, unhealthy snack cakes in its park? In a March 5th, 2021 newspaper article, a McKee spokesperson is quoted as saying, "Our snacks have a place in a well-balanced diet that is paired with outdoor activity that gets the body moving." And I brought a couple of boxes. I did not buy these. I actually got them from somebody else. I refused to buy these. Zebra snack cakes. Has anybody actually read the nutrition labels on here? 64% of the daily value. Yes, sir.
We don't even hear the ingredients. We are here to talk about the park being people's concerns. Everybody who goes out and buys M&Ms, snack cakes, news ties, they all have ingredients that a lot of people don't like. Okay? I don't think it's fair for you to basically condemn the keys for this. That's what I'm reading between the lines, and I don't appreciate it.
M&M, which is in Cleveland, also isn't asking to put large M&Ms in our public park.
But it has nothing to do with bringing the ingredients.
I was just promoting 64% daily. Just one snack cake, zebra snack cakes. 64%, your daily value. I want to finish what I was saying, yes. The park is not on the agenda this evening, so I'm hoping there is still a compromise in the works to include suggestions by Mayor Lamb, Commissioner Baker, and the community in its initial development. It is interesting to me that not one McKee representative or one of their contracted park planners has been present at commissioners and planning commission meetings to face questions that have been proposed. To Collegedale residents, I ask you to be bold. Everyone has a voice. Collegedale has about 12,000 residents. Please join commission meetings if you're able. Watch the meetings online. Speak with commissioners who sit in these elected positions representing you. It is a two-way street. September 16, 2019, in a WDEF news release on the welfare of our city, Commissioner Baker is quoted that commissioners cannot make good decisions for employees or residents without communication. At that time, she was interested in making things better for our employees and our citizens. Thank you and blessings for moving forward.
Thank you, Tracy. Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll go on with our agenda. Appreciate the comments that you've shared with us, and we will pass them on to the group that's working on this part. They can get them from the video and the record from the minutes. Okay, our next agenda item is unfinished business. There is none. The new business number, the first item is approval to replace the fuel delivery system. And Eric Sines from Public Works will talk about it.
Good evening, Commissioners. So we currently have a fuel island that is off of Sanborn Drive that is used by the City of Collegedale as well as Tricom Fire Department. And in recent weeks, we've had several issues with the system that actually delivers the fuel, logs, entry information, everything like that. And we're needing to replace it as an emergency because the last time it was repaired a few weeks ago, they notified us that there were no more new parts available because everything's been discontinued. And basically at any point it could stop working and we'd have to go into a manual log system and it would decrease our ability to get fuel to service all of our vehicles. I can't find an actual record of when we started it, but the last records I got was it's about 17 years old. Right.
What's the cost of it?
So we were able to get 2 quotes, both local vendors. One was from Estes at $17,690. And the second quote was from First Choice Service of $11,668.50. And I've called around to a lot of their clients. They service Hamilton County, local fuel stations. They're both reputable companies. And my recommendation is to go with the lowest price.
And where does this come? Is this in the budget already?
This is not in the budget. This would be an emergency expenditure and we would have to do an amendment for it.
Mayor, if you don't mind my interrupting, Eric, when you say an emergency, it drastically impair the efficiency of the city operations without this island being operational.
Exactly.
Yeah. The commission has to approve this. They have to declare an emergency. It being an emergency by a supermajority. 4 of the 5 of you must agree that it's an emergency for this kind of expenditure, because otherwise it's something that should have been bid.
And that should be part of our.
Yes.
budget?
So an appropriate motion, if you're inclined to approve it, it's my motion to declare an emergency for the purposes of not bidding this in the normal course of business and to approve the purchase.
Any discussion or question?
So you're saying because you got the bids before we talked about it, we need to do this over again?
No, sir.
You've got 2 bids.
But they're not,
They're
you got a request for proposal. A bid is where we advertise in the paper and put specs and all that sort of thing.
What we're asking for is for a mechanism just to put the fuel in and charge it to whoever.
Correct. It's basically an electronic computer system.
Computer system. I move to approve, or what the judge said. What Sam said.
You're going to adopt my language.
Yes, sir.
You got that, Christie? Okay, thank you.
Any additional comments, questions?
So we're voting on the declaration of emergency first? Are we voting on the declaration of the emergency first? Or are we voting on?
You can do it. You can do it jointly. You know, what I articulated was that find that an emergency exists and to justify the purchase on that basis.
And Eric, what was the price that you were voting?
11,000.
$668.50.
Yep.
And what's the timeline that you were going to?
So on the quote, it said 3 to 5 weeks, depending on how long they can get it in. And they said when they gave me the quote, they were calling the manufacturer to firm that up and we'll get it sooner if we approve it.
I'd amend the motion to include the purchase, the emergency plus the purchase of $11,000.
We had already a second on the first motion. Didn't you second the first motion? Yeah.
You accept the amendment, Commissioner Baker, since you were the seconder? Okay, so that clears up the record.
Just want to make sure this is Robert's Rules of Order here. Okay, any additional? Are you ready to vote?
And we better call the roll since it's got to be a four,
Okay.
yes.
You want to call the roll, please?
Commissioner Baker,
Yes.
Commissioner Garver,
Yes.
Commissioner White,
No.
Vice Mayor Johnson,
Yay.
Mayor Lamb.
Yay. Okay, the next item is with the Public Works as well.
Yes.
Repair of the garbage truck.
Yes, we have one of our automated garbage trucks at the manufacturer service center currently, and the cost of repairs is over $10,000. It's the main packer assembly that compresses the garbage continuously as it's running, and the total for that is $10,621.98. And we spoke to Sam about this, and he said it's a sole source.
It's what now?
It's a sole source vendor.
Yes.
And it's manufacturer. That's where we have to take it to get it repaired. So we need approval to spend it.
Meaning it does not have to be bid.
Right, right, and that's in the municipal purchasing law, and I think our ordinance as well.
And with how far we are in the year, this would bring us slightly over budget in that line item. We currently have about $6,000 left, so this would bring us to that and then beyond. So we would have to present a budget amendment for it.
How old is this truck?
This truck was purchased in 2017.
What
So-
happened to it?
Just wear and tear. It runs it's set up automatically, so basically it runs continuously as he's picking up garbage. So it's basically running 6-8 hours a day, 3 days a week.
I need you to tell them they extended warranty carbon.
I would do that all day long on big trucks like this, but they don't offer them.
I mean, I hate to say this, we have to do this because we need a garbage strike.
Right.
Otherwise, we have two people with a garbage strike,
Right.
which is more risk for us, for people on the backside.
Right. And actually, with how we have the route set up, we're so efficient with these automated trucks. We're actually running 3 people, 2 on the back, to be able to get everything done in the same amount of time.
How long have we known, how long have we known about this problem? Is it something just popped up or has it been an ongoing thing?
So that can be debated. We did have some symptoms a couple of months ago that they didn't identify as this being the root cause for those. But now that they tore it down far enough to see that could have been the root cause for other issues. This was purchased new.
Any other comments or questions?
Like I said, the Vice Mayor said that we're kind of stuck with it, but I recommend that we make sure we're taking care of our vehicles as best as we can and on time. This is a pretty big purchase.
Can you put the mic up closer so we can hear you?
I think
better?
our public works does a great job of keeping up our equipment, so we're continuing. If it's not, something's happened, sometimes the government is keeping up. I don't think this was a limit, I think this is probably guaranteed and used to use. So, I just feel like the commissioner's remark, I don't mean disrespectful myself ever. I just feel like that you do your job and you keep up, keep records, and it's not a reflection of your ability and your job.
Thank you.
No additional comments, roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker,
Yes.
Commissioner Garver,
Yes.
Commissioner White,
Yay.
Vice Mayor Johnson,
Yay.
Mayor Lamb.
Yay. Thank you. Our next item is the approval of the interim city manager pay rate. we received from the HR the minimum, the mid, and the max for commissioners, city managers in the state. And we need to look at what we would like to also have add-ons. Currently, the pay for the individual being our interim city manager is $97,323. And the manager that just retired was $128,319, and that included his car allowance and his insurance premium. So I'm open for discussion from the commissioners on the pay rate for our interim city manager.
I was researching, see our size for what the pay would be. Someone that is, let's say, starting out, and like you said, it was between 94 and 116,000 plus the benefits. And I'm seeing that possibly in the middle of those, because he doesn't see 97. I do believe he should receive more, for the fact that he's taking on added responsibility and being hired. I feel like it should be the maximum because he is, I think he's ready to go up to the middle, in the middle.
Well, you have to take in consideration, there's no experience as a city manager as well. And the other two things we have to decide besides that is, do we give him a car allowance and do we pay his medical premiums?
When I was looking at them, when I looked at everything, based on the information that I looked up, I'm talking about middle range, the middle low average is $105,241. The upper middle is $108,000, and then the in, between those two, the 110 would be in between those two. I was looking at possibly bringing it up to maybe the 150 whole package to like 108. It has a car allowance, what it means like in servicing.
Yeah.
It's not on 3 months, but that's a plan.
The car allowance currently is $500 a month.
And so, if you went along and travel, the city car allowance already at the beginning of the year, that's what that.
No, that's not.
So I think.
No, he doesn't get a car allowance now.
Yeah, so I think he needs to get the car. I do believe that because he does as a city manager doing a lot, so representing us in meetings and so forth. The medical, I'm gonna lean towards Commissioner, yeah.
Vice Mayor?
He's so clear with the insurance aspect of it.
So I would just say, key managers get free insurance to the city, correct? For this temporary time period, I have no problems with our laying the same from that perspective. It would be going back to picking up the premiums once we hire the city manager. And I would just say, and I understand he does not have true city manager experience, but in 2006, when we hired Ted Roberts, he didn't have it. So he gained that through work experience. So I don't want to hold Wayne back, if you will, to prove himself. He's a young engineer, he's well educated, he performs well for the city in his current position. I would just say, why don't we just do it? I'm looking at the difference between what Ted Roberts makes versus what Wayne's making. It's about $30,000. If we cut that in half for 3 months, divide that out by the number of months.
And that would include the car?
I hadn't even thought about the car, to be honest with you.
what Ted made included the car.
That 128.
Mhm.
That was the whole package.
That was the whole package he had, which included the car allowance. Any comments on this side of the bench?
Sound like they're carrying the ball pretty well. I think the thing that keeps popping in my mind is just the 90 days.
Yeah.
So, you know,
I think it also goes back, he wants to go from there. So I think, like, Vice Mayor suggested, that it reverts back to what his current salary would be. I want you to see,
So if you took the 31,000 divided by 12 months, that's around $1,200 a month. And I think that's fair pay for 3 months.
Okay, so it would be his current plus the $1,200 a month for the 3 months.
300 basically.
and that would include his, insurance rate, and then the, car allowance.
Yes.
That includes it. I
Say,
think that's how it is.
somebody want to make a motion?
You said 30,000 difference,
It's around 31,000.
divided by 12 is 2,500,
Yeah,
not 1,200.
Yeah. I came up with a low, especially is what you're saying, we came up to an average of, based on mine was 1,800.
Sorry, I was doing my paper here, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would,
Okay, yeah.
concur with the vice mayor on that with the, so you're saying $2,500 a month increase plus the free insurance? Is that what the motion? Okay.
Okay, will you give me a figure, please?
What do you say, what?
$2,500 plus free insurance.
That includes the car allowance.
$2,500 per month. Plus the insurance,
Correct.
that's correct? Okay, is everybody, you ready for a motion on that?
I'll make that motion that we increase the interim city manager's pay by $2,500 a month plus insurance.
And I'll second that with a comment. So are we gonna just assume it's a 3 month, 9 day that we've all talked about? We want to revisit this if it's not, or are we just gonna assume that that's?
Yeah, we need, we'll look at it.
Well,
Yeah.
So this needs.
For 90 days.
For 3 months.
So
it'd be revisited if it's more than 3 months?
I think
we can do that.
Okay,
I'll amend my motion to that.
okay. Because according to MCAS, it's usually about 110 days from the time you start the search until you have someone hired. Okay.
We'll do 110 days then.
Yeah, you can always revisit it at any
Yeah.
time.
Okay,
as long as it's, as long as it goes
Right.
within the 100.
okay. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker,
Yes.
Commissioner Garver,
Yes.
Commissioner White,
Yay.
Vice Mayor Johnson, Mayor Lamb.
Yay. Okay, our next item is 8811 Appleton Pike access right-of-way request.
So this was the request that TDOT sent to you for the excess right-of-way along Appleton Pike. This is the location that the old A-frame was at, that during the previous phase of Appleton Pike construction, they ran into the leach field. And the parcel does not have sewer access without a cost prohibitive extension. So that's why TDOT relocated the people that live there and tore down the house. So the adjacent property owner has requested to buy that property to add to their parcel. And we would like to note that the parcel is not buildable at this time without a sewer extension.
Now is this the house that's right next door, or is it the house that's behind it that comes in through the subdivision?
My understanding is it's the house behind it in the subdivision.
Okay. I was trying to figure that out from the map, and it wasn't clear to me exactly. Okay, any questions or comments? Any reservations?
TDOT bought the,
Property and tore down the house.
correct. And
Why
so
are we having to approve a sale of it?
if we do not approve it, it will automatically be approved by TDOT. But as a courtesy, they reach out to the local municipality prior to disposing of excess right-of-way. Cor- Correct. And to note that the property is not buildable at this point in time.
Move to approve.
We have a motion and a second to approve this request from TDOT. Roll call?
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Garver?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yay.
Vice Mayor Johnson?
Yay.
Mayor Lamb?
Yay. Next is a report from our city administration.
I've asked Michelle to present the financial report for you.
You should have the February financial statement in front of you. We're 66% through the year, and we've received 68% of revenue, so we're right on track. And we have spent 70% of expenditures, and most of that is tornado issues with the tornado, COVID, Prospect Church going into the next fiscal year, that sort of thing. Do you have any questions about a specific line item, why it's over or under?
I think Prospect Church, if some of these people may not know it's a road, not a sanctuary. So we're not saving money to pay for a church, but a road.
Oh, yes, excuse me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just so we all know what we're talking about.
Michelle, I see that we had $432,000 coming for all income tax.
Yes.
This is the last year we'll receive that, correct?
It is.
Okay.
So where's that money going?
Currently, we probably have most of it in rainy day funds.
Didn't that stop in January?
We will receive one more, this is the last year, 2021, we'll receive one more payment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's a little confusing because it's for the year prior, like taxes.
Any other questions or comments from?
And just to let you know, it can be a little confusing with the bank balances. The property tax on the revenues does not include September's property tax, but this bank account number, as you see, this 6.9 million, it does include property tax for March that just came in a few days ago. And we plan to transfer that either into investment or contingency at some time this month. We always do a big transfer in March.
So you would expect the contingency fund to increase by the all income tax? 400,000?
I mean, we didn't necessarily, I don't remember where we moved it when we received that in July. I can look and find out for you.
But your understanding is it's currently in contingency upon this piece of paper right here.
I think so.
Okay.
Like I said, it was in July, so I'm not positive.
Any other questions or comments for Michelle?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the financial report. Roll call?
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Garver?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yay.
Vice Mayor Johnson?
Yay.
Mayor Lamb?
Yay. Anything else from the city?
No, ma'am.
Commissioner White?
Yes, first off, I want to thank all the residents for joining us tonight. Your voices are heard, and we'll take into consideration what's been presented to us. And I would love to come up to y'all's neighborhood sometime, COVID allowing, and speak with you guys. And I'll be in contact with one of the leaders from your neighborhood to set that up. Second, Eric, there was a pretty bad smell on Little Italy Parkway recently. What was that?
I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about.
Have we got sewer? It smells like sewer's leaking out into, or some kind of sewer leak on Little Italy Parkway.
There was a pinhole in the sewer force main that is out for bid currently and has since been cleaned. Unfortunately, when there is a leak like that, and even after you clean it, the smell will linger for a little while. We have notified TDEC appropriately. And like I said, that is the project that is out for bid currently to be replaced in its entirety.
Okay, so it was at least sourced. It wasn't just
Yes.
something randomly.
No, we were notified late one week and addressed it that Monday following.
Okay, cool. Just want to make sure we were aware of it.
Yeah,
It
we
was
never
pretty bad.
got any like reports of smells, that's why we're sure. Yes, we did have a sewer force main leak. there on
Gotcha.
Lake Park Place.
And contrary to what Commissioner Baker said, I thank you for what you do. You do a great job. So that was not what I was trying to imply on that. So sorry for coming across that way. That is all.
Commissioner Garber?
I'd like to also show appreciation for the fine folks here in the community that showed up tonight. One other thing, I was very happy to see the stoplights and green lights hanging from the posts on Edgemond and Lee Highway. So they've been working diligently over there for some time, and to see that just about ready to light the lights make that intersection much safer is really exciting to me. Thank you.
It's only been 4 years now.
It was nice also to have the railroad crossing smooth.
It was a huge, huge project. It was, yeah.
We got about T-Dot and,
Good.
Commissioner Baker?
Well, I'm gonna, feedback, I'm so glad that all of y'all are here, you can come to all of them, so we get feedback, and we do want your input, we do care about the citizens. And that's what all I have to say.
Vice Mayor?
well, I've had my new COVID shots, I'm taking this off for a second, so that the governor wants to come get me again. Again, thank you. You didn't have to be here. We appreciate it. And I would agree with you. There's been a lack of communication about this entire project. It's going to be a great project. There's no doubt about it. Did we know about the quick deed? No, we did not. The commissioners were caught off guard about that, and Commissioner White brought that to our attention. I would like for us to add this to our workshop again, to talk about the parking. I need to understand that completely, because I've heard 2 or 3 different how we're parking on Swinger Drive, and I'd like to understand that so that we can communicate the exact knowledge that we gain from it. I would also like to add to the website, we moved where the link is for the park up to the front page or home page, maybe if we can, because I think this is a great asset to the city. I understand about, the concerns about parking, playground. We always have that, especially here at the playground right behind us. Somebody could get snacks or a kid could, so we would definitely want to make sure that we're on top of stuff like that. And that's why we keep the park closed at night, for sure. So we do appreciate y'all coming in, and we will listen to you, and we'll take that under advisement as well. So what we haven't told you is, if we don't do this park, there's some consequences to the city in 2025, and we need to talk about that and figure out which is the best direction to go. And the last thing I will say is to Tracy, I will say that McKee's has done a lot with the city. We would have the greenways and some of the stuff that we do because of McKee, especially one side of the town. So I'm very appreciative of them. I felt like that, I don't want to take a dig at somebody because of what they made. Being a diabetic myself, I still eat some. The doctor wouldn't appreciate that sometimes, but it is part of it. Do I sit down and eat a lot of it? No, and I don't think most people do. I'm sure there are people out there. So I just felt like it was unfair from that perspective, so if you took that wrong, I apologize. That's all I have.
Can we ask them to have a part? I'm sorry.
Sure.
I'm sorry. It's totally protected tomorrow, so I get my shot. I was wondering, can one of the McKees come out and talk to us, because I know that, our Leon has done a great job representing our city, and he has fought to try to get what we have, he and Tim. But what I would like to, say, maybe what, do they not have someone that can come out and talk to us, maybe in the workshop, answer our questions, direct to direct?
I can request it. I'll request it for the workshop.
Yeah, and so apparently, workshops are open, so you yourselves can address some of this also.
In the workshops, it's usually not the people who attend and ask questions. They would be able to hear response to ours. My suggestion would be to have someone from the city and the Keys go up to their homeowners association and have a meeting with them. Like you did earlier with us during the election.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what we need to do, because these individuals living as close as they do have not heard anything. They've only heard what we have heard, and they have questions that we have also questioned. And I think they deserve a meeting on their own.
May I say something? May I ask a question? That's just one community.
I understand it's one community, but they're the ones that are here.
And I'm here, I represent my community.
Well, that's fine, but I'm talking right now about the group of individuals that are here right now. We can talk about yours later, okay? Yeah. We have all of these names.
We have some relatives of the Keys in our community, and they're gonna be asking us if you come up and do a presentation. I guess he's the one that's in charge of this, is he?
It was his idea to begin with.
We're trying to get him to come up with the community.
Good.
Thank you for your support.
Okay. Do you have anything else? I have a question, and I don't know if it goes with Public Works or if it was with the police department. But I noticed that the school zone lights around the elementary school at Spalding and going down College View towards the academy and so forth, none of those lights come on at the same time, and they don't go off at the same time. And sometimes they're not even on, and so you have people coming from the south part of Collegedale University that just go ramming down through there. But you get down toward where the gymnasium is, that light is on. And so people are creeping up if they're going from the north to the south. So we need to make sure those lights are coordinated, that they come on and go off at the same time. And when the school is not in session, don't let them burn.
Right. So there are actually two different zones, and they do follow two different times because both the elementary school and CA have one time where they start and end their school, and then AWS out at the front, they actually start and stop at different times, especially on Friday. The Friday is the biggest difference. So they are separate and they have separate times to follow, but I'll make sure and have someone check them in the morning to make sure they haven't adjusted themselves, because they do that. They're programmed to follow daylight savings and everything, and this is probably the first time in 5 years they've actually followed daylight savings without a hitch, but they do sometimes change.
Well, at 8:45 this morning, the one going south by the gymnasium was just signaling away.
So that one probably didn't adjust itself like it was programmed to do.
Okay. And I've talked with the police department about how the people line up going in to pick up their children because they're blocking up every lane coming up toward University Drive. And the only way you can get through there at that time of the evening or afternoon is to go into the lane that the opposite cars are supposed to be in. And there's gonna be an accident there if you don't take care of it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Lamb, I do know because I picked up my son Friday afternoon and there was an officer there directing people. So they were at least there Friday. I don't usually pick him up in the afternoon, so I'm not sure what other days.
Thank you. There's something else here, I guess I told about the thing. I received a letter that they requested me to read tonight to the group. And so I will now read the letter. It's addressed to Mayor Katie Lamb. As a Collegedale taxpayer for over 40 years, and as the wife of Ted Rogers, I would like to publicly commend Ted on a phenomenal job of managing the city of Collegedale. There are many others who feel the same way as I felt compelled to write this letter for the record. Ted has served tirelessly for the citizens of Collegedale, the city employees, and the commission for almost 15 years. Many of you who have watched the video of recent commission meetings have been stunned, angered, embarrassed, and disappointed, to say the least, at the unprofessionalism shown toward Ted and amongst each other. I myself have received many texts and phone calls from people expressing their anger over what they witnessed during these meetings. At times, it felt like we were listening to children on a playground over who blocked who on Facebook and who has talked to who. Really, how embarrassing. It is rather amazing the turmoil that has been created in the workforce since one commissioner in particular was elected in 2014. It was very obvious he loves the limelight and while appearing on news channels while giving twisted facts. Tim, you say change is needed. How long have you been a commissioner? 20 years. Isn't it ironic that you were a commissioner back in 2006 when the city was suffering more than just financially? I would like to mention a few of the many, many improvements implemented for the city by Ted and his excellent team. First, turning the city's finances from near bankruptcy to the good finances we have today. Secondly, finding local sales tax money that had been going to other governments instead of Collegedale. Third, implementing improved working conditions for the employees in the form of better equipment, better benefits such as 401k, quality health plans, competitive pay and incentives to attract and keep good staff. 4, implementing a professional and respectful and safe working environment for all employees, stopping inappropriate behavior in the workplace. We could go on and on, but after 15 years of decisions, it's literally impossible to name them all. I personally have been silent while reading about, hearing about, and watching news reports, and seeing mailers of twisted facts and false allegations about Ted. As Phil Garber has said, there are always two sides to every story. Sadly, it seems just one side of the stories have been told. Many of us know Ted's heart for public service and his character. He has served our citizens for 40 years. He's always put the citizens of Collegedale first, along with his staff. Isn't it fitting that many of his staff, when questioned, want another person with Ted's qualities as their boss? Tammy mentioned that in 2006, many didn't think Ted had the education to be a city manager because he was a paramedic. Yes, while he still is a paramedic, he had 4 degrees, including a master's in administrative leadership, had also been a chief officer for 20 years in the emergency services, and a commander for the federal government serving in the National Disaster Medical System prior to being appointed as city manager. Don't sell him short, for he was well educated and experienced to run this city on a day-to-day basis. In summary, we feel the city is much better off now than it has ever been during Ted's tenure. He managed and led the city with knowledge, distinction, honor, and integrity. It is evident to me and many others how respected and even revered Ted is as a person and a professional by the many in attendance at his retirement party. Many of our state, county, and other city elected and appointed officials and professional managers and education staff from all over attended his event, and countless more sent well wishes and congratulations on a job well done. We hope the city continues to prosper as it does now. Ted, enjoy your well-earned retirement, and I and so many others love and respect you for all you represent. And it's signed Becky Rogers, also representing many other citizens of our great city. Any other comments or suggestions? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Second?
We're adjourned.